Yeah.
Put a setting.
Sorry. Did you need it?
Yeah, I need it. Still need it.
But it seemed like if resetting now, that means we have to restart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys, because I'm using Turong's Zoom account to set up the link to send to you to invite you to the workshop, and then unfortunately, Turong just like limited the participants to use animated tools so that the student cannot draw or maybe interrupt the sharing. So that's why I don't have animated tool in my sharing. That's quite a different from my own teaching experience, because I think, I have always have animated tools in here so that I can type or I can underline the words or something. So sorry. Okay, we can start now. And I would like you to look at this. Okay, wait a moment. Course map. Okay. Okay, I'd like you to look at this one. Have you seen my screen, my share screen? Have you seen it?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. All right. So here is very I see that is a rising textbook that a lot of teachers displays recently, and I got it from their sharing, and I want you to study the scope and sequence. Normally, it is suggested course outline by the textbook authors. Okay, so let's see about this, about how the content is arranged in here. First of all, I would like you to identify the type of course, the type of syllabus, what it is. It is grammar or lexical or mixed or integrated or functional or notional or, topic based or something. Okay, I will scroll down here.
Excuse me, right now I only see the files. I don't see the details inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Neither do
Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I see it.
Yes.
The course.
Now you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I want to scroll down. It's just grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
Yeah.
So, what type of syllabus is it? Any idea? Maybe you can type in the chat box. Vocab and grammar, yes, I agree. We have vocabulary, a list of vocabulary, and the grammar, the structures here. Grammar based, maybe. Yeah, because grammar also contains vocabulary and structure, okay? Yeah, Thu Thành, okay, to combine skills based and topic based. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. topic based and integrated. Yeah, from the course, I mean the math book, or maybe the course outline, the very general course outline here, you can see the learning areas. The learning areas here, the vocabulary, the structures, and the phonics or pronunciation in here, right? Normally the pronunciation, because they just put the transcription here, the pronunciation. They are the language areas, okay, that students are going to learn. And all the areas here, based on the topic, my school. It means it's topic based, okay, and grammar and vocab is integrated. Yeah. And then we will see how, okay, from here, normally we cannot get the idea of the skills, how the skills are developed, right? Because they don't give any idea or details about listening, how listening or reading or and writing are presented, are taught. So you cannot imagine how these skills are developed. Yeah. But from this, okay, you can see that, okay, maybe how the teacher, you have to imagine how the vocabulary is learned, how the vocabulary is taught, how grammar structures are taught, how the pronunciation, the sounds here are taught, are learned. You have to imagine, yeah, how the student learn. So it's a very, very personal habit of mine when I look at a course map or like a course outline or maybe a map of the book. I normally see the table of contents like this, and then I imagine how teachers can teach based on this content, how the student can learn from this content. I go with my forward thinking because I have a content available for me to study. These are content. If I were a teacher, I would imagine about how I conduct this content. So I am following forward design. Okay? Okay, so let's see. Here also grammar, okay, grammar, pronunciation, vocabulary. Same. Okay, so let's see. Let's see, what is it? It's a wonderful book by the authors group here, and also guided by National Geographic Learning. And you can see that here's the map of the book. Okay, we go to Unit 1 because Unit 1 normally is to get some content to do. From the book map, you cannot see any listening, reading, okay? So the first topic is my family. So you can see that here is a picture, and they have an activity, tick the number of people. So students look at the picture and then do the task. Okay, do the activity here. So from the perspective of teacher, how can you organize this? How do you organize a task or maybe activity? Is it vocabulary learning, teaching, or any? Haven't you do that?
I think it's only kind of like review the prior knowledge, because the students supposed to know they learn about the numbers in the previous lesson already. So this one is kind of the way to check like do they remember the numbers or not, and also introduce the picture of family so the teacher can guide them to the new topic.
That's great. Thank you, Mira. Yes. Okay, that is just like activating the prior knowledge of students. Okay, and check how they can, they are able to identify the number and then put the number in the right word. Okay, because if they know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, they can count the number correctly. They can identify, they can count the number of people in the picture, but they don't know, they don't recognize the word in here. They can put 7 or 8, right? So from here, you can assess student in terms of their ability to count correctly and to match correctly with the word 5. Okay, so from maybe reading and writing and also thinking, okay, you can check them in terms of that. So it means that from the book map, you cannot see how you check your student thinking, right? How you check them knowledge, because the course map or maybe the book map doesn't show you. They just show you about vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. But you can do a lot more when you explore further the unit. Now let's see lesson 1. Okay, listen and point and repeat. It's a very typical example of behavioralism. Like, okay, the teacher shows a model of listening and then just like, oh, listen and repeat, listen and point. They just show a model and then students just follow the model. And then learn. They learn from drill, from repetition, from doing, okay, from modeling. So they listen, they write, they point, okay, and they say, they speak. So in here, what do you think? What do you think? Is there any difference from what you see in the lesson 1 with the book map? It means that from the book map, do you see how students learn? And do you see any listening, any speaking, any writing from the course book? From the course outline?
Yeah, in the course outline, it doesn't show how do we teach it. But in this book, we can see that there's audio file, there's pictures, and vocabulary. So we have more details about how to teach the topics.
Okay, you have more details about how to teach, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it means that it requires further teachers, okay, to brainstorm the ideas, how to teach, how to, develop the activities based on the given, the instruction and the given course outline. Okay, from here, you have a lot of activities to arrange. Listen and repeat, look and say, let's talk. So it means they are integrated. Okay, integrated. Listening, writing, speaking, normally listening. So do you think is there any element in curriculum that I showed you earlier, you identify in here? Is there any element? You see, how many elements that you just analyzed from the curriculum model? Do you remember about the elements like input, syllabus, process, outcome, output, methodology? What is it? What is any element here? Okay, I think I need to clarify my questions. We have discussed about the model that you say. I remember the Andy and Kimman just talk about top to bottom and top left to right, right? You can see that is an input, process, and output. Curriculum, methodology, and learning outcomes. Or maybe you can say syllabus, methodology, and outcome. So from the activities here, do you see any element? Can you recognize any element? What is it? All the listen and point, all the listen and write, all the listen and repeat. What is it? Aha. Some of you say input and outcomes and inputs and outcome. That's good. Do you see any outcome here? That's great. Haven't seen that is the methodology very clearly. That's good. Exactly. So from this, you just see, let's play, listen and repeat. They are very, very useful and relevant instruction for kids. Because normally the kids age 6, for example, because here is age 6 to 8, because it's a wonderful world 3. So I think it's normally maybe 8 or maybe 9, I don't know. But the kids here, you know, they are, I think it's relevant to them. Listen and repeat. Their instruction. So from the instruction here, you can see that is their input. Okay, the input, they have to listen and they have to repeat. The repeat here is the activity, not outcome. I don't see any outcome here very clearly. But I can imagine, okay, as a teacher, I can imagine, okay, if I'm successful with conducting the activity, my student can repeat the structure. This is my dad, this is my mom, this is my brother. Okay, I can repeat it very well. They can repeat it very well if I do successfully my teaching. So, as a teacher, if you know how to conduct the activity carefully and successfully, you can see the inputs. The input here is the content of listening. Okay, you help them listen. Okay, you give them a chance to repeat. You model the structure. Okay, you organize the activity. Maybe you organize individual work, or you organize a peer work, like one person points out a particular picture and another person just like read loud the statement. Okay, you can organize the activity so that the students are exposed to the structure they learn, they listen, and they're exposed to the context as well. The context here is a picture of family. The context here is the sense of family they have in their feeling. They can sense that, oh, the picture here shows a group of people and they are very close to each other. They must be a family. Okay, because we want to teach them the vocabulary, dad, mom, brother. We have to teach them the ditties, the structure of ditties. Okay, so you have to build them the sense of belonging, the sense of connectedness. And they can, you know, activate their prior knowledge of family, and they can produce a language more easily. All the things here are processed. Okay? So that's why teachers have different processes, different ways to engage students in learning. For example, because we maybe in here, if we are assigned with the same textbook, of course we have to follow lesson and we have to follow the activity from 1 to 4, for example. Or maybe you can skip an activity that you don't know, you don't want them to do. But the processes are different. And we cannot imagine the process. We cannot imagine the process if we don't work on it very well. Normally, the teachers who are not really concerned with, they are not very interested in designing process. They just focus on the input. Okay, how I can give the input to student? I just play the audio and then just have them listen and then ask them repeat. That's all. Oh, and then after that, I just ask them to look and say. That's all. Okay, that is okay. It's okay because the book just guides you how to do. And it's a very, very typical example of behaviorism. You can see the behaviorism here. It's just like a model, and then just ask students to do. That's it. But if you just apply cognitivism, it means that you allow students have a space to think and process information. You can organize relevant activities for them to process the information, okay, and produce a language. And the cognitivism is very important because from the input, from the behavioralism stage, they have sometimes to, to acquire, to memorize, okay, to retrieve the information, okay, and produce the information. It means that they have ability to speak out what they have just learned, what they have just listened, okay? So in here, you cannot see the process very well. And then if you don't have very good at designing process, you just follow the base in here. You just follow the rules in here. All right. And they have a lesson, lesson 2. It's just extended lesson from you have more vocabulary on family members, and then listen and write. The writing is applied in here. Okay, listen and repeat, look and say, write about here. Okay, the writing. Okay, so from the book map, you don't see any writing, okay? And you don't see the look and say. And do you know why the writing is put at the end here? Why the writing is put at the end as activity number 6? And the writing is put more at the end of the lesson. Do you know why? Do you know why? And
Well, I think it's natural because normally we have the input is listening and reading, right? So the writing is considered as the output for the student. At the end of the lesson, they're supposed to be able to remember how to write the words. So that kind of activities help the students to practice and remember the words better.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that putting writing at the end of the lesson or as the last activities to do is a logical way, or is it suitable or relevant?
Yeah, I think it's kind of logical. It's the logical way during the process, the learning process of students.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. All the textbooks and also in our courses as well, we also put writing at the end because writing is the hardest skill to be successful, and the writing just like requires a lot of other skills like vocabulary, structures, and imagination and creativity, and also thinking. So yeah, I agree that writing should be at the end. However, do you know why just writing, sometimes they just put some other activity like listen and repeat, or maybe look and say and write about and listen and stick. It means that they are quite like integrated from writing to listening and to reading and to writing. Do you think why they are so mixed? Mm-hmm. I agree that is Dong Hiền. Yes, they need enough input. Do you know what is enough? How is enough? Yeah, it's a very difficult question. We don't know how is enough. We don't know how is enough until we accept student. So that's why as a teacher, when you conduct the listening or reading or any skills, any activity, you need to assess student properly so that you know what to do next. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So writing, you cannot go with the writing even though that number 6 and number 7, number 6 is ask your student to write, or number 7 or number 8 ask your student to write. You cannot go to them until that you check your student can listen, can identify the vocabulary, they can listen, they can put a tick properly, they can repeat, they can say, they can point correctly. And even though that they can write down the vocabulary correctly. So, scaffolding assessment or maybe giving relevant assessment is very important because you organize activities and you just keep following the pattern of the book without giving feedback, without giving proper assessment. Assessment here, I mean for learning. To check how the student acquire knowledge and then possess knowledge. You cannot go to the end of the outcome, okay? Because the outcome, the relevant outcome or maybe the successful outcome should be achievable. And how do you know that the student achieve outcomes? You cannot know without assessing them. And how we can assess them? We will go to the lesson planning later and then see how, okay? But so I think organizing activities for students go hand in hand with assessing performances of students in such activities. Because without assessing students, we don't know how to do next, where to go next. And of course, as I said earlier, we need to have a purpose in mind. We cannot just go forward, content and process and nowhere. We have to content, process, and outcome. Right? That's forward. And we also have outcome, content, and process. We have process, content, and outcome in the central way. So, as I said earlier, you have to assess students to see how they reach outcomes. It's very important. And I think that this aspect is very, very, get, little attention to. And they just maybe ignore in curriculum design in Vietnam, and also the teachers do not pay full attention to very classroom assessment practices. They just care about testing, about the midterm tests and progress tests and summative tests at the end of the semester. And if you do so, you just ignore the wonderful, the wonderful things and you can see from the process. Yeah. They put multiple skill together in one activity to practice exams. I don't think I interpret your question very well. Maybe later we can discuss about that. Okay. Zhang, okay, because I read your questions, but I don't think I understand it well. All right, now let's see. Stop sharing. We move on to another. Here, global success. Okay, global success is also quite a commonplace book, a common book in lower secondary level, mandated by, it's not mandated, but I think it's approved by Ministry of Education, and it's very kind of suitable for mass students in Vietnam who are not really proficiently English. Here, reading, speaking, my new school, okay, 30 units, listening is reading and speaking. They put reading and speaking. And in here, they put listening, writing, and language focus. So there are 5 areas: listening, writing, language focus, and reading and speaking. Reading, speaking, listening, writing, and language focus. So, what do you think about this? What is it? What type of the syllabus?
Sorry, I haven't seen your sharing.
Oh my God.
I just see your document and not see the book.
Yeah.
Yes, here. Okay, I see it now.
Oh my God. So why don't you just ask me earlier? Sorry. Because I don't know what I put the new share, but I don't know why it's not working.
Yes, okay, I see it now.
If
Okay.
you choose a screen share, you can avoid this.
I don't see the screen share here. I just see the new share. I don't know. So maybe you need to give me the host, the right host.
I did.
I don't see the share screen button. I just see the new share here, so that's why it's okay. Thank you. In here you see reading, speaking, listening, writing, and language focus. In here, okay, in this book. So, what do you think about the type of the course, the type of syllabus here?
Is it still integrated?
Okay, yes, it's still integrated. Yeah, it covers more areas, right? And it's demonstrated clearly in the course online. Yeah, it's integrated. And why do you think that why reading and speaking go hand in hand? I mean, they just put together reading, speaking, listening, writing, and language focus. Yeah, topic based, I agree. Reading for general specific information, talking about the type of schools, why they put reading and speaking, listening and writing. Normally you see speaking and listening, right? And reading and writing. Or maybe you can see that reading and listening, or speaking and writing, because they are inceptive and receptive and productive skills, right? But in here they put reading and speaking. Why do you think that?
I think maybe because they are all the common topics that the students have been studied for a few years in primary schools. So now with unit 1, they can be able to read and talk about that because they already learned about this one.
Okay.
They are not new topic.
And why do you think why they put reading first? Why the other courses, like I demonstrated earlier, that they put listening first. They just say listen and repeat, listen and point. Okay, why they come with reading first? Why do you have any question about that? Why do they put reading here rather than listening?
Is it to check the prior knowledge of students?
The listening can check the prior knowledge. It's challenging.
I think
Okay.
I think maybe the listening activity is the most suitable to check for students' knowledge about words. But for I mean that the reading activity, the student can work on more than just words. That's the first one I'm thinking about, and the second one is that by reading activity, the student can check the student's ability to recognize the word by letters, because in some cases the student can recognize the word. In some cases the student can listen to the word, can understand the word, but when they see the word itself, they cannot recognize it.
Thank you. Because do you recognize the age group that student of students, the age group, the age of the student? So the lower secondary levels. The lower secondary levels.
Yeah.
Okay. The lower secondary level, so they age as 10 from 10. Okay,
Yeah.
because if they are 10 years old or maybe 11 years old. So that's why the author who wrote this just assumed that, okay, students need to have certain vocabulary and structures. And they can read. Right? They can read. So that's why they put the reading first. Of course, I agree with you to activate the prior knowledge or maybe to provide new knowledge on particular topic like new school. School is not very up-to-date topic for them. However, okay, maybe from reading they can explore more information about the topic. And they want to just our assumption, right? Just our imagination about the book. Let's see further about this. How our design thinking works. We are just, you know, we read from the book map and then we design how the book flows. Okay, it's very important to do. And then we can see how our design is relevant and match with the author's mind when we go through the structure of the lesson, okay? The reading and speaking, because they want to provide some input from reading, okay, to provide vocabulary and structure so that students can have opportunities to activate the to vocabulary and structures in speaking. So it means reading and speaking. Reading as an input and speaking as output. I agree with Ngan and Diep, okay? In the chat box, you show that, okay? Yeah. And of course, Ha just said, okay, the author wants to hook the readers, okay? Like the student, you know, can be more interested, okay? Reading as just a hook for students, just to grab the information, grab the attention from them. Okay, so reading just makes power in terms of wrapping the information, wrapping the attention. Okay, I agree. But listening and language focus. Why does they put the language focus here? And normally that's some courses just put language focus at the beginning. Okay, they put at the beginning. Why they put at the end? And listening and writing. They put listening here and they put writing here. Why? Can you explain the flow? Do you think listening here is input for writing? Do you think listening can provide any input for writing?
Yeah, I think like both reading and listening are the input for writing.
Okay, in this case, the listening can just provide more vocabulary and structures. Okay, extend the vocabulary and structure for students. And writing, as I said, we agree that writing is hardest skill, so it's normally put at the end, so that when we assume that students have enough input, okay, they can produce something. So writing at the end. So listening here, I assume that it can be connected to writing. However, it can be connected to reading and speaking previously because it extends the understanding of the topic for students. Okay, by giving more information, by giving more vocabulary and structures. But why the language focus is put at the end? Do you know why? Do you know why the authors to put language focus at the end? Excellent. Consolidating vocabulary and grammar. Consolidation. So you think that the language focus put at the end is just kind of consolidation? That's great. The language focus here is a highlight. Actually, the language focus is knowledge of language. It shows the areas of language developed. The language areas here include vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar. And all the language areas are developed throughout the listening, the writing, the reading, and speaking skills. And actually, this is a little, I think it's not really typical, but it's a little demonstrated demonstration for task-based learning. This syllabus demonstrate little, not so strongly, but I think little about the task-based learning. The task-based means that students are engaged in tasks of reading, writing, speaking, okay, to acquire knowledge, to acquire proficiency, okay? And then all the knowledge here, all the language areas here are summarized in the language focus. So the language becomes a means for communication from reading, speaking, listening, and writing, and the language becomes an end, the outcomes for the learners at the end. It's very, very, I think I can see a task-based approach in here. Yeah, so let's see how the lesson is designed, okay? Here it's just the syllabus, the draft syllabus, okay? Let's see. My new school. This includes vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, skills, and everyday English, like this, okay? Getting started. Listen and read. Read. So it's reading. So you see, that is a lesson. That is a lesson. How the lesson is designed. From the syllabus, you see that. But from the lesson, you see any difference? We see listen and read. You see read. We see write. We see listen. We see put. We see put. It means that is writing, and vocabulary, and work in pairs and listen, repeat. I'll say, what do you think? So from the course outline to the implementation, I mean the course implementation, the teachers, the teachers get the lesson. They get the syllabus at the base, but they get the lesson. They have to conduct the lesson. How the teachers do in here. The listening first. Okay. So you will do the activity number 1 first, right?
Yeah.
So do you jump to the the activity number 3 or not?
No, we will go from activity 1 to activity 2.
So do you think you go to the activity number 4, or you go to activity number 3 first, number 4?
3 and then 4, of course.
So you mean that you follow the flow of the book?
Yeah.
And look around, write the names. Okay. I usually start asking students about pictures at the top. Okay, at the top here. It means this one? You mean this one? So here you often just ask students, what kind of questions do you ask students? questions do you ask students?
I usually ask students to describe the picture and guess what happened to the characters in the picture. And I will ask them to guess the content that may appear in the recording. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then after listening, after the student listening, they can compare their guess to the content of the listening. Yeah.
That's a great start. I think that's a very great lead-in. Okay, thank you. Yeah, but how many times? I mean, sorry, how much time? How many minutes do you spend for this activity to warm up?
No more than 5 minutes.
Oh, so it means that you just call about 2 or 3 students to have the answer, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, we don't need to spend much time on warm-up activity. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, what do you see the picture? What are they doing? Yes, they are very palm questions. Okay. Next. So you can imagine that the pronunciation here, the vocabulary here, the lesson here. So how do you organize? How do you organize your lesson? If you just see the layout of the lesson like this, how do you organize? You follow the pages, or you have different ways of doing? And the project at the end, normally, do you have the regular traditional way of following the textbook, or you have different ways? Thanh, can you share with me? Because I know that maybe you are teaching lower secondary schools, right? Or primary. I'm not sure if I remember it well. Hello, Thanh? Are you there? Thu Thanh? Okay, maybe she's not here. Very available. Okay. So you have here. Can you recognize? I usually ignore the project part in this book, even though I know it's useful because of the limitation of time, right? Dong Hiền? Okay. Hiền, are you teaching lower secondary schools or primary ones?
I teach both.
You teach both.
But I have more teaching experience in teaching secondary student. But
Okay.
Now I'm teaching younger learners.
Okay. All right. Okay. So from here, I would like to ask you about how you organize your activities. Do you organize your activities in your lesson plan, or in any ways? I mean, have you got any new ways of planning your activities? Can you share with me?
As I told you, I start with the picture, but sometimes for some unit, I usually use the culture approach. Yeah, for example, for unit, I don't remember, for unit about the food, I will ask students about the daily food in Vietnam and the daily food in Western country. I usually ask students some question to activate their knowledge about the topic. For the topic they are similar to. I don't ask them, a lot of questions. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So in here, you can see that, for example, we move on to the second topic and then see quite a while about the flow. Okay, it's quite similar but somewhat different from the unit 1 because it depends on the topic that the author organized on the skills. So from here, you can see that the authors put the content areas here, the vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, skills here, and they put the listening and read. And in here, you can see it's a lot of activities. So I want to ask you, do you see any ways from the textbook that can help you organize the ideas. Organize the activities. It means that, do you see any idea for your process? Remember, we have elements like syllabus, okay? I mean, content, input, okay? Process and outcome. So we have the book as the input, the activities here as the input, because the inputs are available for you to use, okay? So have you got any idea about the process or the outcome from here, from the input, from the textbook? Have you got any idea about how to, how to organize the idea, or how to organize the activities of input in here?
Yeah, normally after the listening and reading part, I often let my students role play. Like say they're gonna play the role of two characters in the conversation and practice together. And in the next part, they have the work in pair. So after that, when they have the ideas in their head that what should they talk about this topic, they're gonna practice together in pairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what model of learning are you applying? Do you think from having students listen and read and having them work in pairs, and do you know what model of learning are you applying? Link to the theory that you learned before, or maybe you get to know before.
The behavioral.
Yeah, the behaviorism. Yes, you just have them practice what they listen, what they learn, what they are model, and then they drill, they practice. That's the behaviorism. And during the process of doing things, their cognition, their cognitive development, or the cognitive process, continues. And then when the student participate in any task, they process thinking. So the cognitivism also happens in their own learning, even though that they are activating behaviorism, but cognitivism also works. So when they have them work in pairs and groups, do you know how they learn? Do you know how they learn? Why you just pair them up? Do you know why? Do you know why they just ask them to work in pairs and in groups? Do you know why?
For me, when they work in pairs, I can observe and see how do they apply the new knowledge to their practice.
That's still behaviorism, right? That's still behaviorism, right? But you can ask them individually. Why you ask them to pair up, to work in groups, to check their understanding, just to check how they process the acquired knowledge? Anyone else in here? I know that is a difficult question. Why you just pair up the students? Just for them to practice communication and collaboration? Force them to think and share ideas. Okay, I agree. But why? Why they have to share the ideas? Why do they have to share the ideas? Why sharing the ideas here help them something? Help them learn better. Andy, do you know why? Do you know why they have to share ideas in group work and collaboration work? Why? Oh, Andy is not here. Okay. Kim Gan, do you know why? Why you have them work in pairs?
I think it mostly depends on the goals of that activity. So if that activity is the working in pairs is like a post like listening a post-reading activity. So it will be a chance for the student to practice using the vocabulary and express their ideas. But but if like before speaking activities like presentations, I would say just for preparing the student. It's not really like serving any kind of teaching at that time. It's just like a time for the student to prepare before the actual activities.
Have you, thank you for all sharing in the chat box and from voice. I agree with you. Yeah, like pairing up students or grouping the students can help them develop their communication in English and train them to be more active and autonomous. However, we have another model of learning that Hike doesn't introduce you today, but because the limit time. However, I think is very, very typical for group work and pair work that you need to notice. Students learn individually by cognition model because they have to process the information by themselves. Of course, everyone has a system of doing that. It's a cognitive problem, it's a cognitive process, sorry. And we follow the model and we behave towards the model, and that is behaviorism. So that's why we have listen and we have repeat. We have read and we have respond. However, when we discuss with your partners, and you have a problem, you have a task to work on, you have a task to collaborate with and address, you have to discuss. And you have a chance to learn from each other. And you know that what you know, when you share with others, you reinforce what you know, okay? And you reinforce what your understanding, and you alter what you know, because when you exchange the idea with the others and they have different views, and they just persuade you to change your mind or to change your view. It means that it's a chance for you to alter your belief, to change your belief. It doesn't mean that you have to reinforce what you believe and what you know. You can have, what's that? A participant requests that live transcription be enabled for the meeting. What it means? Decline. I decline it. Are you hearing me well, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. It means that they can learn from each other. They can reinforce or they can change their information and knowledge from their peers. It means that the learning happens. The learning happens when they share and they construct the learning. They can construct the learning together, or they reconstruct the learning together. For example, like the task requires them to exchange knowledge, to exchange what they know about particular topic. Someone just knows a part of thing and a part of the story, but another one just knows another part of story, and they just like make a puzzle, like they just like combine the puzzles together, and then they just make a picture. So the learning is the process happens when the sharing comes together, when they share with each other and they complete each other. So this theory here is the social constructionism. The social constructionism is very very popular in psychology and sociology as well. Social constructionism, constructionism or constructivism, that's fine. Constructionism, let me give you this. Social constructionism or maybe social constructivism are the terms which are interchangeable, and that they the terms refer to how the student learn by sharing, by interacting with the others. the terms doesn't, the term doesn't refer to the process of, processing information individually, but collaboratively, from communication, collaboratively, or maybe interactively. Yeah, so the process here is like a thinking aloud. You think and then you just tell the others and then you complete your thinking. That's how you learn. Okay? So we have to pair up, we have to group up by this way of model. Okay? A model of learning. So I don't know if you just agree with me, but I think that the underlying theory of pair work or group work is about the people can learn and change their knowledge and can enrich their knowledge by sharing, and that's the way the learning happens. Okay? Are you clear now about this? Hello? Yeah, okay. So we can continue. From here, you can organize the activities. But do you see any outcome? Do you see how the students can get from your activity? Or what they can get specifically? Do you know? Do you see clearly about the outcomes that student can get after getting involved in your activity? I need to guess. Not clear. Topic, vocabulary. Yes, but they are very general outcomes. How can you access that? How can you access that your student get something?
Normally after the listening and reading part, we're gonna have some more activities below, so they can practice the structures and vocabularies. That's how we know when we see students do the activities.
Okay, so it means that you have a target language structures to teach them, and then you have some practice for them. Right? And then you have them practice. And when they practice, you observe them and then you see how they just like they repeat exactly what they learn, and then you say that, oh, they can produce, right? That is the way that you see the outcome, right?
Yeah, normally they need to be able to use the structures for themselves to express their ideas and talk about themselves. That's the result. That's the outcome.
That's the outcome of the activity, right? Okay. So, do you and have you ever designed any outcome for your lesson in your lesson planning, guys? Or do you just put the content that you are gonna teach, or the objectives that you want to teach?
Normally, when I make the lesson plan, I always have to put the goal first. Like, what do I want my students to get after this lesson? Yeah, what do they need to be able to do something like speak, know some more vocabularies and structures, and be able to express themselves about these topics. And then I will build the activities and then the contents inside.
Okay, so you are following the kind of backward design for your lesson planning as well, right? You come with the outcome first, the abilities that you expected students to, you expect your student to achieve and to demonstrate. And then you design content and the activities. Okay. It means that you are implementing the backward design from the course outline to the lesson outline. Okay.
Yeah, well, not really because I also read the textbook, so I kind of like combine two, both of them.
That's good. Yes, that's very smart answer. Yes, exactly. Okay. In my opinion, but just getting started lesson, I need to raise student interest of the topic, teaching vocabulary. Put on closer look 1 and 2 lesson. Okay. Yes, it depends on how you organize your ideas. It means that you are applying design thinking. Okay. And if you get any problem during your process, during your implementation of your lesson, when you define the problem, okay, and you understand the problem very well, you need to go through 5 phases of design thinking to solve your problem, okay? At least you need to go through 3 phases. Discovery, okay? And then go to, this is the 3 first phase that we explore in the morning section, and then after that we have a very draft solution, and we implement, we execute in the real classes, and then we evaluate, and then we have evolution. It means that you change something, okay? So that is design thinking. It's not something very big. Maybe that's something that you are doing, you have been doing, but you don't name them, you don't recognize them, okay? Maybe some of you just may experience 5 phases of design thinking already, but some of you may go through discovery phase, or maybe experimentation phase. You are waiting for the changes in students, okay? So everyone could be given opportunities and potential to be design thinking developers in your own context. As I said earlier, it is my tool. It's nothing very, very big that you cannot reach. It's very, very handy to use. So I want to share with you this one. About this, we move on to this. Okay, let's see this one. It is the lesson, okay, designed by groups of teachers, BGC. And I would like you to look at the learning outcome first. Okay, the learning outcome first. I would like you to take 1 minute to read all the outcomes. We have 3 big outcomes that students are expected to demonstrate. Distinguish different stages in life cycle of an animal. Identify correct stages in the life cycle of an animal and use target language to describe the life cycle of a mammal. And in here is just the learning points, language focus here. Alright, let's see. The vocabulary. And we have a step here, watch, play, ask student, watch the video, blah, blah, blah. Just go through the content first, and then we go to some detailed parts of the lesson. Structures, practice, we have practice. We have exercise. We have here. And we have wrap up, okay? And we have homework, okay? So, is this about a very small lesson? What do you see here? I would like you to focus on the first outcome, distinguish different stages in the life cycle of an animal. So, you think, how can students distinguish the different stages in the life cycle? how can we organize the activities? What activities can be suited to help students achieve the outcome, number one. Do you know? How can help them distinguish from what activity? We have outcomes. That is a very, very typical for the outcome base, for the backward design, okay? We put learning outcomes at the end, at the beginning, sorry. Yeah, so we follow the content. Matching, compare and contrast, good. Yeah, exactly. We can help them extinguish by matching tasks, matching activities, or maybe, compare and contrast, good. Ordering, that's good, yes. Yeah, and then from ordering, we can do the number one, identify correct stages in the life cycle. Okay, for number 3, outcome 3, use target language to describe. So, can you think of any activity to achieve that outcome? From reading, do you think from reading they can use target language structures to describe it? Draw a diagram. Yes, good. Yeah, they can draw. They can use a target language to, to summarize the life cycle in a diagram. Ask students to count the number of stages. Draw a diagram, then use it to explain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you just organize an activity, right? An activity like the speaking activity to have some prompts, which are the stages of this life cycle, and then they have to, based on the outline, based on the prompt, to speak or do a project. Yes, we have do a project. What kind of project here? They can choose a mammal, a particular mammal that they like, and then they can study the life cycle of it, and then they have to use the words and structure they learn to build a talk, or maybe to build a writing about it, okay? Or maybe just write a description text to about the life cycle of their favorite animal, right? So at the end, or maybe at the homework, they can use it. Yeah. So let's see. We also follow the very particular traditional PPP where we put the language focus here, because to achieve the outcomes here, we have to get students learn the language focus like this. Okay. And they put the baby animals. I mean, that they have to name the animals. Okay, the names of animals. And they watch a video about the life cycle of mammals here. Okay, the video, a lot of input. I mean, a lot of input in the learning points. Okay, and the structures here. It is just not for them to it's just like a guiding form, a guiding section for teachers to focus on, like the vocabulary, what they have to do for the vocabulary. They have to introduce a video to activate the knowledge, and to play games so that the student can be exposed to the names of the baby animals, and they watch to get more information. And also they have to they want to introduce the kind of about the order, the adverbs of order, okay, like this, because they have to talk about the cycle, so they need to have the order. So they have to learn about the adverb. Okay, first, then next, finally, like this, and then they have to. But to do that, they have to set a context for their learning. It means that they set a conditioning. They set a conditioning. It means that they put the behaviorism mode of learning here. Okay, and then they interact with the story. Yeah, so behaviorism a lot in the input process. A lot behaviorism. Yeah. So after this, you go to the practice. The practice can help learners, can help students process the information individually and socially in individual work or in pair work or in group work, so that their learning can be processed in cognitive way or in social constructionism way, as I said earlier. So normally in the lesson, in the sample lesson of GEC, we normally have a behaviorism. We have behaviorism, we have input first, we have cognitivism, we have a individually practice, and also we have a social constructionism where we just help students interact with each other, interact with students, another student or teacher to build their knowledge, to construct their knowledge, or maybe to reinforce their knowledge. If they know something earlier, they can reinforce, they can strengthen their knowledge. Or maybe they can change their knowledge when they interact with someone. Yeah. So the practice here can help them, okay, reinforce the knowledge. Okay. Writing here. Read the text. And wrap up. The wrap up here, just like what we need, a wrap up. Make sets of flashcards and several animals students find in place. Okay, it's just like this here. It's just like an instruction for teachers to follow. Okay, because we design this one is as a guide for students and also a guide for teachers as well. The teachers can organize it. The wrap up, it means that okay, this is a kind of consolidation part that teachers just get students revise what they learn, okay, by an activity or a task. I don't think this one is the most successful lesson that we design, but I think it's demonstrated typically the learning modes and the learning models that students can learn, okay, and then we can apply. In here for homework, you can see that we design the activity of do the vocabulary reading writing journal, because the student age from 7 to 9, so they have to do the journal by themselves, okay, and then they have to prepare for the next lesson. It means that they have to process their learning individually, so they learn following the model of cognitivism, and they exercise. They do exercises in the homework based on the cognitivism and also behaviorism, because they have knowledge acquired by a lot of examples from behaviorism, like practice, like modeling, like getting ideas from pictures, getting ideas from input lesson, from listening, reading, from interaction with the teacher and peers. So all the things there are input. Okay, so they process and they do the journal by themselves, and they prepare the next lesson by themselves. So all the learnings, all the types of learning happen, okay, in one lesson. We expect that students demonstrate different modes of learning, different learning styles in one lesson. Okay, and from the observation, we can know that, okay, who prefers what. For example, like, okay, the student can be lazy not to do the journal, but they are very excited to join the group work or maybe pair work. And they know that, okay, they don't want to process their information and knowledge by themselves. They want to interact with the others. Okay, but someone who prefers learning individually, they don't want to be engaged in group work or peer work, so they can notice and we can design personalized tasks for them if we can. Okay, but we don't think that we have enough capacity to serve every type of learner in our classroom. However, we know we diversify the activities in our class, and we observe how the learning happens and how learning is assessed. We will, have more opportunities to transform our practice or maybe change practices, because we know better our students and how they learn. Yeah. Okay. All right. So someone to say sorry because they have to leave soon. Okay, that's fine. I think that we will finish soon because we have some kind of follow-up assignment to you. Not assignment, but it's kind of follow-up discussion, because I want you to put more your personal thoughts into particular lesson plan, so that we can see how you take away the things that we have in the workshop in your reality. Okay, so we will go to the sample plan where you can learn how to plan your ideas based on the backward design, particularly. Okay, let me. Okay. Okay. Okay, here is a lesson plan, for example. For example, in here, I have a lesson plan of 2 periods. So about 35 minutes for a period. So we have about 7 minutes. And the learning areas I focus here is the vocabulary and listening. Okay. The objectives here, I want you to distinguish between objectives and outcomes. I know that sometimes the people just make mistake for getting objectives by outcomes, vice versa. And also they see objectives as outcomes, but actually they are not the same, they are different. The objectives are what you aim to teach students, and normally from the perspectives of teachers. You come from your belief, okay, your wish, okay, or maybe you get some references from the textbook, you get some inspiration and you want to teach something to your student, and then you come with the objectives, the purposes in your mind, or maybe the goals. Okay, but normally come from the perspective of teachers. For example, in here, okay, for learning outcomes, how can we have a learning outcomes? So imagine you have a purposes in your mind, you have objectives from your own view, from your own wish. So to come to a student, you need to organize the activities, or you need to assign them with tasks, right? You have to organize them, organize the process. You have to use methodology to approach them, to adopt the activities, to conduct the activities. So imagine you have a set of arrangement of activities, You have a set of activities that encourage students to join. So after joining, you have to design. That is why you design your learning and your teaching. You come with your perspective. You come with your understanding of students. You come with the content because you have to base on a particular mandated course or curriculum. You have a range content. But you have to design what students are expected to achieve. It means that you have to design the process of achieving the outcomes. And you have to design a set of outcomes, specific outcomes they are expected to demonstrate at the end. It's a very challenging task, I know. But you have to do. Why? Because, okay, you have objectives, we have you know exactly what you want to do, but you don't know how to organize the activities to come to students. You have a very, very wonderful objectives, but you don't know how to do. You don't have a beautiful ways. You cannot go to the destination, right? So you have to arrange activities. And from participation in the activities, students get something from you. You have to design what they get from their own perspective. I know it's difficult because you put the position, your position in other shoes. You have to think for them. Think about them a lot. You have to come with, you have to take the student perspective rather than yours. It's not easy. It's so hard. Okay, so harsh and so sometimes weird as well because we are not student and even the younger student. Okay, we cannot know exactly the expectation, but we can think specifically about what they can do. Imagine, okay, at the age of 7 or 10, what they can do. They can just recognize by listening or by pointing or matching the objects or colors and numbers, etc. an object. You have to specify what they can do. Because what they can do are the outcomes. Not what you teach are the outcome. What you teach are the aims, are the objectives. Okay, what you arrange to teach them, what you assign to them are the teaching activities. But what they get from your learning, from your teaching, what they get from the activities you assign to them are the outcomes. So the outcome should be very, very specific. They can recognize, they can identify. Identify by what? They can identify by pointing correctly, by matching correctly, by ordering correctly. Okay? They can name by reading. Okay, they can read, they can say, they can write. You have to design very, very specifically the outcomes. And you have to anticipate the problem. The problem here could be happening anytime in any phase of your lesson. And of course, with the design thinking developer, you have to think about any solution you can do. You can deal with the problem. I know that normally the lesson plan don't have this, but the lesson plans, the traditional ones don't have this. But I think that if you are very specialized in English language teaching, you have some imagination and you have imaginative scenarios in your mind. For example, like half of your class are not engaged in your lesson, what should you do? Yeah, so try to use a cognitivism or behavioralism stimulus. Yeah, to provoke them or maybe to make them change their behavior. I know that is hard. Yeah, I know, but you have to think about that. And then here is a procedure. Okay, you have activity, you have description of the activity, you have time for the activity, and you imagine about the interaction, how you organize the activity, what interaction requires. Okay, the objective, it means that, okay, why you do this activity from your own perspective, from your own, not from the students. And the outcome here, it means that what exactly the student get and demonstrate after getting involved in your activity. So you have to base on their perspective. Okay, so what I'm gonna share with you, maybe a lot, but I think to sum up, what I really wish to raise here is about how the learning outcomes, okay, how the backward design can help you develop your design thinking. And even though that you come with the central design or maybe forward design, yeah, you can develop the design thinking as well, because you have to imagine what's happening in your classroom, what to do next if you have problem, okay, what you have to change if something unexpected to happen. And you have to plan lesson. Why you say the lesson plan? The plan, it means that you plan the lesson in many ways, in the fixed way or in flexible way. It's up to you, but you have to plan for that. And also the learning outcomes. You have to take the perspective of students. Why? Because sometimes the problems arising from you, and sometimes the problems arising from the students. So you have to take the perspective of students to understand them better and to understand their expectation and their abilities. If you just come with your objectives and the content assigned by the school or the Ministry of Education, mandated curriculum, you cannot just like take any step further for design thinking, because the design thinking just asks you go through 5 phases, right? Maybe the last phase may be about the outcome. So we have 4 key phases. So you have to come up with the perspective of students so that they can have enough conditioning, enough information to build up your solution. Okay, so I think that backward design can help you a lot because you come with the outcome. The end outcome here is more related to the learner's perspective rather than yours. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I will send you the lesson plan sample and the recording. Okay. I'm not sure. We are recording, right, Khương?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we are recording. Oh,
Wait, just
It might be no.
no?
Yes, you know when you told me that we have 5 minutes to break, you stop recording. So
Oh,
have you?
I'm so sorry, but no one just reminds me, so that's why I just keep talking and. Oh my God.
Recording in progress.
But nothing really waste of time to do that. Oh, maybe too long. Just don't you just remind me about that? And then no one just like just remind about
I
that.
don't notice that. So until I see the comment of
Yeah, because I'm sorry because I don't because I'm using the kind of Potter Strange format of Zoom, and then I don't even have animated tool so that I can just edit my my tool. So that's why I cannot just like yeah, I don't know, but oh my god, I'm so sorry. No one just reminds me about the recording, and then I just keep focusing on my work and without getting it recorded.
And we just focus on you, so I don't.
I think it's okay. Can you share with us the curriculum and the documents?
It's my mistake that I don't assign someone to remind me to do so. But I think yeah, because it's the format is unfamiliar with me, even though that I don't have any animated to yeah, to conduct my my drawing or my editing on the screen. So that's why I just forget. Oh my god, sorry about that. I think I will try my best to make up for this, and yeah. Okay, so I hope that you can get some ideas at the end, rather than just listening to the recording. Is that okay? I mean, because I cannot just like what's say? Because we just missed recording for about nearly 2 hours, so I cannot just like yeah do what we did before. Maybe I can have some recorded explanation on the outcome, but I think it need time. I need more time to do so and give it to you. But I think it's because sometimes the fire from me and from when I got a training to the teachers, I think it's not easy to get repeated. Because when I record myself alone, it's so much different from what I share with you today. All right. So I do apologize for the mistake, but I think I expect that someone from my team just reminded me about that. But they seem busy as well, and then they don't just remind me. So I'm so sorry about that. But what I want to emphasize here is about you need to take the perspective of learners when you design the learning outcomes, and you can adjust the learning outcomes based on what the student actually get after the lesson. It means that you have to keep an eye on actually the student perform, how they actually perform from every task, and then you adjust or maybe make kind of modifications for the task in the following lessons, because the outcomes are very important if you focus on the outcome base. Yeah, it means that if you take the outcome based design, you have to focus on the outcome. Yeah, but if you just take focus on the objectives, it means the content that you want to teach them. I think it's okay. It's okay for you to just like keep getting them engaged in the content. However, you have to measure the performance of the student. You have to assess how they perceive, right? So you also have to take into account the outcomes. So I think there is very dynamic interaction among objectives, outcomes, and process. So, and also the objectives here means content, what you want to teach them, and what they can demonstrate after all. Yeah. So think dynamically about this, and you can design a systematic lesson and purposeful lesson. Okay. And about design thinking, about lesson plan, I know that we have to read more about design thinking, read the text that I gave you two days ago. And also, I will send you the recording of the morning section and the afternoon section, that what we have, and also the slides of Hạnh and me, and then by Hạnh and me, and then we will have further discussion by emails, or maybe we can develop a Facebook group or maybe a Zalo group so that we can further discuss about these things. Okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you so much for your attention, and you are to focus. That you just so my it's aggressive. Okay, I mean, I don't think that I missed it. Okay, because until that I just like look at the chat box and, oh, are you recording? Oh my God, it's okay. I have to check it, because when I share, I cannot see how whether I recorded my lesson or not when I share the screen in this format. I don't know why. Yeah, when I share screen here, it's so difficult to see if I recorded or not. Yeah, maybe because of the different format. Okay, may I speak Vietnamese?
Sure.
Tức là mình xin lỗi mọi người là vì thế này này, bởi vì là cái format này là bạn ấy set up trên cái Zoom của bạn ấy á, mà mình cũng không đúng là mình cũng không có để ý lắm á, tại vì đúng là honestly là rất là sorry là cái khâu tổ chức nó cũng hơi bị không có tốt lắm ở cái điểm này, đó là không có được không có hề có animated tool ở đây. Cho nên là không có viết hay vẽ hay không có làm cái gì được. Sau đó thì khi mà mình share screen á, thì nó cũng không có cái biểu hiện giống như lúc nãy chị ấy nói là tại vì tại sao mọi người mãi cũng không có thấy được mình share đó, bởi vì mình không có nhìn thấy được cái share screen mà mình đã share để nhìn được chính xác là mình đang share hay không, bởi vì chắc là bạn ấy limit rất là nhiều cái công cụ của đấy. Sau đó thì còn cái gọi là cái gì nữa nào, cái recording á, khi mà mình nhớ là khi mà mình có share trong lớp học là mình có nhìn được là mình có đang recording hay không, nhưng mà cái này nó không có nhìn được. Thế cái lúc mà mình share đó là mình không có biết được là mình đang record hay không. Cho nên là rất là sorry các bạn nha. Cho nên là mình sẽ có cái cách nào đó. Tuy nhiên mình cũng nghĩ rằng là hôm nay mọi người cũng đều, nếu mà ai thực sự mà cảm thấy nó useful đó, mọi người có thể stay đến lúc này. Còn nếu mà ai thực sự thấy nó quá lý thuyết và cũng có thể nó chưa relevant với cái niche của mình á, thì mình cũng nghĩ rằng là thực sự mà nói là một cái buổi mình nói chuyện như vậy thì nó cũng không thể đủ hết được. Tuy nhiên là mình cũng chỉ muốn nhấn mạnh ở một điểm, đó là cái phần mà design thinking ấy, nó rất là lý thuyết các bạn ạ. Thật ra nếu mà nói chính ra là rất là lý thuyết, nhưng mà thực tế là các bạn đang làm đó. Các bạn đang làm đó, chứ không có phải là không làm đâu. Mỗi người nó đang ở một chặng khác nhau thôi. Tức là mỗi người sẽ có thể là các bạn đang ở cái khâu discovery, các bạn cũng đang ở cái khâu thậm chí là đã khâu evolution rồi á. Nhưng mà mình không có biết, mình không có name được nó. Hoặc là mình đang làm và mình skip một cái phase nào đó mà mình không biết. Đó, thì mình nghĩ rằng là trong cái việc mà design lesson nó vô cùng có nhiều cái cách như vậy. Nhưng quan trọng nhất là bạn đi theo forward hay đi backward hay central thì nó đều có những elements đấy thôi. Chứ nó không có thể là bỏ cái này mà, tức là lấy cái này mà bỏ cái kia được. Đó, thí dụ như là như mình nói lúc nãy đó là mình đi theo cái outcome thì mình cũng không thể bỏ process và content được, mà mình đi process thì mình cũng không thể bỏ hai kia. Mà mình đi theo content không á, thì bắt buộc mình cũng phải design cái process đó thật tốt. Và mình cũng không thể ignore cái việc rằng là mình chỉ có design cái process và cái content, mà mình phải xác định là học sinh đạt được cái gì, tức là mình phải có purposeful. Đó, cái bài học của mình, cái teaching của mình phải rất là purposeful. Đó, cho nên là mình muốn là các bạn có thể connect được cái gì đó từ cái bài của bạn Hạnh buổi sáng với cái bài của mình buổi chiều. Nhưng mà cái bài của mình buổi chiều thì thực sự là mình cũng đang bị cháy rõ án là cái điểm là mình cũng muốn cho các bạn có một cái buổi, có một cái để các bạn engage nhiều hơn với cái việc làm lesson planning á. Thế nhưng mà mình không có làm được, cho nên là có lẽ là chúng ta sẽ có một cái phần follow up discussion khi mà mình gửi cho mọi người một cái task là mọi người thử dựa vào một cái bài, một cái cuốn sách hoặc là một cái giáo trình nào đó mọi người đang làm để mọi người lên một cái lesson plan và dựa trên cái design của mình. Ví dụ như là các bạn sẽ có cái design về objectives như thế nào, rồi outcome như thế nào, rồi procedure như thế nào, đúng không ạ? Theo cái lesson plan mẫu của mình ấy, được không ạ? Ok. Thấy mọi người im lặng quá à. Tống Hiền rồi Kim Ngân rồi Thanh rồi mọi người có câu hỏi gì không? Sounds like a plan. Okay, yes. I have a plan for
Bây giờ buổi hôm nay em thấy là điều kiện mới với em. Có những chỗ em vẫn chưa hiểu lắm á, nhưng mà em sẽ đọc tài liệu, có gì không hiểu thì em sẽ nhắn tin hỏi lại chị và ban tổ chức.
Nhá. Nói chung là mình rất là welcome để discuss với mọi người ấy, bởi vì là thực sự mà nói là một buổi nó chỉ là mang tính chất là để giới thiệu thôi, chứ còn thực tế là chúng ta sẽ phải cảm giác là chúng ta thực sự mà học, giống như là nó cũng không khác gì việc là học sinh nó học được, và chúng ta sẽ phải có cái practice cho nó, và chúng ta phải có drill, có review đó. Thì bây giờ chúng ta cứ phải further discussion, chúng ta phải có những cái question, rồi chúng ta phải có những cái thứ mà chúng ta cảm thấy còn doubtful nữa cơ. Nó còn doubtful, nó còn question, nó còn đọc xong còn hỏi là ôi không hiểu tại sao mà nó lại khác với chị Ngọc Anh nói như vậy, hay là khác với lại chị Hạnh nói như vậy, hay là thậm chí là mình không có ngộ ra được cái sự connection giữa những cái mà mình được nghe với những cái gì mình được đọc. Thì đấy chính là cái sự khác biệt giữa behaviorism và cognitivism, là vì vậy đấy. Nó là cái process của cái việc mà mình learning mà đó, cho nên nó rất là khác nhau. Thế thì mình cũng muốn là để cho mọi người cảm thấy rằng là thật ra là lý thuyết đó, nó có đó, nhưng mà nó cũng rất là hiện hữu trong cái lớp học của các bạn thôi. Mỗi học sinh nó là một cái reflection về một cái model of learning. Học sinh học như thế nào, chính bản thân giáo viên á học như thế nào và prefer cách học như thế nào, nó cũng ảnh hưởng đến việc chúng ta dạy đó, chứ không phải không đâu. Thank you. Cảm ơn mọi người nhá. Mình sẽ có một cái cách nào đó để make up cho được cả những cái phần mà mình bị miss ấy. Nhưng mà mình hy vọng là mọi người hôm nay ai mà đã được stay until here now thì chúng ta sẽ cảm thấy thực sự là có một cái gì đấy. Mình cũng không kỳ vọng là mình sẽ mang lại cho các bạn quá nhiều thứ đâu, thực sự, bởi vì mình cũng đi train hoặc là mình cũng đi tự học rất là nhiều, thì mình thấy rằng là có lẽ là một cái điểm nào đó mà nó tự nhiên nó làm sáng bừng lên cái tư duy của mình, hoặc là tự nhiên nó giúp cho mình tự tin hơn ở một cái điểm nào đó mình đang làm hoặc là mình đã làm, thì mình cũng đã cảm thấy là nó hữu ích nào gì đấy với mình rồi. Cho nên là mình cũng mong là các bạn cũng tự xem là mình thực sự có một cái học được, hoặc là mình có thể thậm chí thay đổi được cái gì trong suy nghĩ của mình. Thì điều đấy cũng là điều mà mình đã vô cùng happy rồi. Thì mình sẽ có một cái feedback form cho mọi người để mọi người làm khi mà mọi người tham gia cái buổi Calm Day này của mình và Hạnh nhá. Và mình sẽ rất là vui khi mà mọi người có thể dành thời gian để feel nó. Ơi chị Ngọc Anh ơi, đây Hà có thể nói đi, Hà đỡ phải chat cho đỡ mất thời gian.
Dạ vâng chị ơi, là chị có thể cho em hỏi là cái bản record là chị sẽ gửi lên đâu không ạ?
Mình sẽ gửi cho mọi người vào trong một cái folder cùng có cả slide, có cả recording, có cả những cái materials related, và sẽ share cho mọi người qua cái email mà mọi người đã đăng ký nhé.
Vì là
được không ạ?
Em ở khoảng nửa sau của cái buổi Zoom này là em có record lại chị ạ.
Vậy hả?
Vâng, thì em...
Tức là nửa sau là tầm mấy giờ em có record là em record bằng cách nào?
Em record trên máy tính ấy chị. Tức là em record toàn bộ buổi này, bởi vì là hôm nay là em dự thay cho chị Linh ấy ạ. Nhưng mà em không biết là em gửi lên cho mọi người như thế nào đấy ạ.
Vậy à, ôi dồi tuyệt vời quá. Chúng ta có một bạn nữa. Thế thì tuyệt vời quá. Thế thì chị nhờ Hà có thể em có thể share cho chị vào trong, chị sẽ gửi cho em chị sẽ gửi qua đây nhá, là cái email của chị ấy. Xong rồi khi mà em up lên trên drive của em thì em sẽ share cho chị, xong rồi chị sẽ down xuống, xong chị lại up lên share cho mọi người, có được không?
Vâng, nhưng mà
Tiền em sao em?
Mọi người thông cảm chút là thỉnh thoảng sẽ có hơi có tạp âm này.
Không sao đâu em, không sao đâu. Rất là tuyệt vời rồi, bởi vì chị cũng có đây là email của mình, và mọi người cũng có thể email cho mình nếu mà mọi người cảm thấy tiện hơn khi mà dùng Zalo hoặc là Facebook nhá. Rồi, cảm ơn Hà nhiều. Mình cũng thực sự là mình cũng không biết là mình có
đưa một cái phần mà nó ngoài cái kỳ vọng của mọi người không, hoặc là kiểu cảm giác là mọi người expect một cái khác mà mọi người lại đến đây nghe một cái khác, thì mình cũng thực sự không biết được. Bởi vì đúng là thực sự khi mà mình đọc cái phần mà mọi người define cái problem á, thì mỗi người có một cái problem rất là khác nhau. Cho nên là thực sự mà nói là để mà address tất cả những cái nhu cầu của mọi người thì có lẽ là trong một buổi hôm nay mình chắc chắn là không thể làm được. Mình cũng kỳ vọng là nếu mà một lúc nào đó và có những cái problem mà thực sự mà mình nghĩ là chắc mình cũng không thể làm được đâu, mà chỉ là cùng với các bạn khám phá để cái cách giải quyết cái vấn đề đấy thôi. Chứ còn thực sự là có những cái problem nó mang tính chất là nó cần nhiều thời gian, nhiều efforts lắm. Ví dụ như cái việc mà engage học sinh như thế